Piers Morgan from Piers Morgan Uncensored had a panel of guests including Brian Tyler Cohen as well as Carrie Lake, Rod Rivera, and the author of Project 2025 on his show to discuss transgender agenda and the rights and other issues, where in this particular segment they talking about how transgender issues will affect people as well as the current society. And Piers Morgan does dive into different points and interesting points. And Brian and Tyler Cohen get shut down by Piers Morgan as well as the author of Project 2025. So here's a discussion with Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored, with panels on what's happening with the whole transgender agenda and how it's failing on all fronts. And it seems to me that, Piers Morgan gets into a bit of a debate when there's a pushback as well. So let's go ahead and get into this whole discussion with Piers Morgan and others. And if you enjoy watching this channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. And please smash the like button on this video and share this video for all across social media.
Brian, you and we've debated this quite a lot, actually. I want to play you a clip because you might be surprised where I go with this, but I want to play you a clip. This is from an interview I did with President Trump in his first term in office about the issue of transgenders in the military, which is rumored overnight that he wants to ban all transgender women from the military. Let's take a look. The cost of the medication is minuscule compared to the overall budget, right? You accept that. The US military spends a lot more money, for example, on giving Viagra to service men and women, or service men.
I didn't know they did
than it does actual medical bills for transgender people. And so it just seems to me an unnecessary thing for a guy who wants to be supportive of LGBT rights and the community around the world, that you've taken this action.
Well, it is what it is. Look, massive amounts, and also people were going in and then asking for the operation, and the operation is $200,000, $250,000. And getting the operation, the recovery period is long, and they have to take large amounts of drugs after that for whatever reason, but large amounts. And that's not the way it is. I mean, you can't do that.
So Brian, this all got very analysed at the time, and there's no doubt you are allowed to take a lot of pharmaceutical substances if you're in the military. So that point was corrected. I think he had a point about the surgery. If you have trans surgery and it takes you out of work for a sustained period of time, I can see why that would be difficult. But I didn't really, and I don't really now, understand why trans people can't serve in the military. I mean, the whole argument about the sport thing goes out the window because, frankly, if trans women in the military are stronger or better or faster than women standing next to them, who cares, right? It doesn't matter. Stronger the better. So on that part, I think that is more controversial to me.
Yeah, I think it puts on full display the extent to which he and the vast majority of Republicans aren't actually in this for legitimate reasons. They're just doing it to stoke panic about trans people because they recognize that as a culture war issue, it benefits them. Look, going back to Nancy Mace, she explains on a weekly basis how she was the victim of sexual assault, including in this very previous segment with you. And yet, and to that point, I feel for her, and I think that's absolutely also awful. But she also breathlessly supports somebody like Donald Trump, who is an adjudicated rapist and who was credibly accused of sexual assault by 26 different women. So the cognitive dissonance at play here, first of all, is incredible. But second of all, just with regard to Nancy Mace, with regard to Donald Trump, we know why they're doing this. Nancy Mace is not afraid of Sarah McBride chasing her into the bathroom. She's not. She wants to fundraise off this. She wants to be social media famous. She wants to be... Nancy Mace has more ambition to be famous online than every single member of Jersey Shore.
Doesn't mean she's wrong.
It means that she's doing this to help herself, and she's not actually concerned about this issue.
Yeah, but Brian, come on, look. Hang on, Brian. A politician doing something to help themselves. If that was a criteria for why we shouldn't listen to them, we'd never have anybody to interview, right? So of course,
I get it, but that doesn't mean we can't call. That doesn't mean we can't call them out.
No, it doesn't mean I can't call you out on the fact that she.
Self-concerned.
I don't think it makes her wrong. So it may be she has other vested interests.
I mean, Piers Morgan is right. I mean, he could say all these things about, Nancy Mace all they want to, but Piers Morgan is right. Doesn't mean that she's wrong. I mean, picture this, though. Imagine, if your favorite politician were to, put this out there, say, I don't know, AOC claiming how she experienced racism and everything and stuff. If she actually experienced racism and stuff, and she were to go ahead and say these things, go ahead and get reelected again and all of that, if it actually happened, then yeah, doesn't mean that she was wrong. So same case as Nancy Mace, you see, because, and this is where Tyler Cohen is failing to understand that, yes, he's rightly to say that, he could say all he wants to about how she's saying these things, go ahead and further her political career. But at the fact of the matter is that Mace, she experienced these things and she's putting it out there. And people like on the left, like and Tyler Cohen was saying that she's using this as a, way to go ahead and get her even more famous and stuff, and to get more support. I mean, that doesn't really help his, defense on his groundwork and stuff. And the fact of the matter is, people experience assault from different people like all the time. Okay, and if you decide to go ahead and sweep that under the rug and try to get your political point out there, then you've missed the whole point on either side, whether it's the left or the right. Okay, so Piers Morgan is going to go ahead and further discuss this with Tyler Cohen.
It doesn't necessarily make her wrong.
If she was actually looking for a legitimate way forward, she would do exactly what Geraldo did, which is instead of beating the drum about this and vilifying Sarah McBride to the ends of the earth, this woman who has, by the way, operated with nothing other than class and grace since the moment she was elected to her position, she would have actually just sought a solution. But nowhere in the days and weeks of her, doing the fainting couch spell, has she brought forward any single indication that she's willing to look for a solution? She hasn't said, let's get a different balance. She hasn't said that she's willing.
She has the solution. You ban it. I mean, just bang. That's it.
calling for this one woman to not be able to use bathrooms is not the same as her saying.
It would be any. It's not one woman. It would be any transgender people.
Piers Morgan is right. I mean, in other places, scenarios and stuff, not just in the military, but especially in the prison system. I mean, there's reports from around the world where there's those who are part of that community who would transition and they're going to female prisons to go, and there's reports of, different rape incidents as well as assaults and all of that. And no one on the left, and especially the mainstream media, is willing to report on those.
Who are in Congress would be the same thing.
This is an attack. Piers, this is an attack on Sarah McBride. We all know why she's doing this. Don't play dumb here. We know that this is because she.
But I don't think transgender women should be in women's spaces. So I agree with her.
She doesn't want to shower with a man while she's at work in the locker room.
I don't think Sarah McBride is looking to shower next to Nancy Mace. And by the way, if any of these people were actually concerned, then they would all be beating their chests about what Donald Trump has done. But nobody's concerned about it. Donald Trump is, as far as the courts go, as far as these accusations of sexual assault go, he is 10 to the nth degree more dangerous than anybody like Sarah McBride. But of course, nobody talks about him because it's politically convenient because he's part of their political party.
Okay, let me bring in Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation as the president and the architect of the now infamous Project 2025. Kevin, good to see you here in London. You've obviously been, you were deemed so outrageously extreme that Donald Trump even distanced himself from Project 2025, said he never heard of it, which I found slightly unlikely. But you've taken a very strong view about things like LGBTQ rights, abortion, and so on. What many people believe to be a quite extreme conservative view of this. What is your view about where most Americans sit, though?
Most Americans, if they were listening to this discussion, would say that it's baseless and absurd to claim that this is an issue, the issue of a biological man wanting to be in a woman's space as being normal. And it isn't just about one member of Congress. In fact, why don't you go ask the members of the volleyball teams in the Mountain West Conference who literally are under physical assault when a man spikes the volleyball against them, so much so that they, apolitically, Piers, decide they're going to boycott all of these games at the expense of their own careers. Ask Riley Gaines, ask Paula Scanlon, who had to compete against a biological man. Ask Chloe Cole, one of the famous detransitioners, who speaks so eloquently about the pain as a human of going through this transition, which of course is propelled by the kind of nonsense that the transgender ideology industry puts on them. So all of that to say to answer your question directly, the culture war always comes to our doorstep. This isn't some fabrication of the radical right or conservatives. This is something that is real. It's real in the military. It's real for those of us who have daughters at home and are in these public spaces. And God bless Donald Trump for drawing a line in the sand, Congresswoman Mace for doing the same. This is saying something this radical, Piers. Men are men and women are women. Welcome back to normal.
So if you enjoyed what was shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share the video far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click bell notifications, so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.